game. The loading screen took a little while longer. I thought I was ready to throw in, but then it didn't. Now we are ready. We're set. The walls are going to show down, as we have in the bottom right, our purple Terran player. From Onside Gaming, it is Maru.
In the top left is the yellow Protoss for Team BIG. He is ShoWTimE. We were wondering what a wall versus a wall would do, and Steadfast tried to show me 2 metapods.
I couldn't see what it was.
Yeah, and I thought I understood what he was going for, but I had to double check. But yes, exactly. They're just gonna like harden against each other, and then nothing ever actually happens.
Then eventually they run out of moves, and they have to struggle against each other, and it takes a long time.
Do they just pass out eventually?
Well, yeah, because you struggle and then you hit them, but you take damage yourself. Someone wins.
Okay, okay.
It probably depends on who goes first.
You know, I personally have not bothered playing Metapod versus Metapod. I just know what happens in the anime.
I'm pretty sure in the Let's Go games, it's there's actually like a Metapod challenge where you have to fight a Metapod with a Metapod to unlock something, and it's basically like 30 minutes of torture because you're just sitting there waiting.
I was gonna say, it doesn't sound very fun. There was the Kakuna game in the Pokemon Stadium where you had to like harden at the right time. And if you didn't, then it like confused you.
That actually sounds fun.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Right?
This was literally clicking the same button and waiting for 20 minutes.
Maybe it was a Metapod game. I mean, same effect, right?
Same effect. Same
exactly. Anyways.
I don't have good eyes, clearly, and I'm just like, I just don't get it. Like, he's showing us some green things, and like, are they hills? Are they mountains? I had no idea it was Pokemon.
Yeah, well, I got you, man.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, I'm wearing glasses, but so are you, so I'm not...
Look, I need new glasses. They've been emailing me all week.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get a update on that ASAP. But anyways, Factory coming in for Maru as he does go for a Factory expand. ShoWTimE, typical stuff on his side of the map. When the 2 of these players faced off in a best of 3, at least 2 of the games actually went quite long, with the game number 2 on Moondance going by far the longest, I believe. So as we get into Cosmic Sapphire, game number 1, that's what I was alluding to when I said, macro map, large map. It's definitely not even improbable that they're going to actually get to that stage once again. But Maru starting off
kind of badly.
Yeah, that Reaper actually got destroyed way easier than it should have.
Yeah, that Reaper just took 1 extra hit somewhere along the way, and that is so nice for ShoWTimE, because now every unit he builds can go straight across the map and be a little bit annoying if he wants it to. You don't have to worry about the Reaper jumping into your main base or anything. You don't have to worry about it scouting, so you're kind of just home free for a little while. So yeah, ShoWTimE will be pretty happy about that early catch for him. And yeah, this Adept going to come around the left, and the Hellion is just not going to find it. Okay, does see it and now pulls back. As the Hellion takes 1 shot, the Adept will threaten the Shade, start to back away. It's looking for its buddy, of course, to really power up here, but, well, we're not going to see Maru really giving chase there. Second Adept, though, says, nuh-uh, that's enough.
Well, this is going to get kind of awkward. With an Oracle coming in as well. I mean, the Widowmine's going to be available, and I assume the Command Center will finish so that there's a little bit more of the compartmentalizing. You can just go into the main base if things get really rough, but it's still going to be potentially awkward. Okay, the Oracle actually is going to be seen by the Hellion, actually use a little of its Pulsar beam before it is taken down. We're also on one of those larger maps too, where this wasn't a proxy Stargate, and it's not hitting particularly fast. But without the bunker and just the lack of general units to spread around 2 bases, that's how this gets messy.
Nice little save on 1 SCV by Maru. It's just the little things that will add up at this point as you have the Oracle tracking that medevac now. Nice revelation, what a catch that is. So after staying at home for a while to help with the Hellion, now we actually have this popping out, and I kind of like this as well. He dropped 1 Widow Mine off already and says, okay, well, maybe I can do something surprising. If this is going to get caught by Phoenix straight away, at least I only lose 1 Widow Mine, and then I have the other one elsewhere on the map. Maybe I can catch an Oracle coming back. So yeah, I kind of like it. Just even going to unload the other Widow Mine here and just say, yeah, I'm not going to go flying into you. I know you're pretty well prepared. Yeah, let's go. And also just Macfield starting up for Maru. Wow, I mean, we see a lot of like Marine, Cyclone kind of Viking pushes, but A, it's a Liberator, and now Macfield is just not usually included in that list of things.
It's not. No, it's not usually. So you're talking about Marine, Cyclone, Viking, and then maybe like Marine Tank Liberator. I could see that too, but not usually the Cyclones with the upgrade in this matchup. In fact, even across its all history in Legacy of the Void, there's only a few times where Macfield Accelerator Cyclones are actually good against Protoss. So, I think we're still expecting a similar idea for the push, however, over to that third base. And if, all 2, 3, whatever Cyclones get a lock on to the Nexus, that could actually straight up be killed. And of course, any units, they'll pretty much guaranteed be killed.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always going to be a scary push, and just, I suppose just surprising how much Maru's going to double down on it. Now, he's got a third CC starting, but all of his other tech is going to be pretty heavily delayed here for the extra investment into the Cyclones. His upgrade's not even going to be ready as we set up now initially. The 2 Widow Mines able to help zone here, and that third Nexus actually going to take some hits right now.
Doesn't have a... Okay, the Oracle does come back. He actually missed one of the Widow Mines. Somebody knows that it's over there. Cyclone lock on to the Nexus again could cause a kill. 2 shield batteries with an overcharge might make that a little sus, and there's only 2 Cyclones with the accelerator upgrade. Still not quite done. Those shield batteries putting in some serious work. Overcharge is popped as the rest of the army from ShoWTimE comes forward and cleans this up basically no problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's so sad. The 2 Cyclones get lifted the moment that upgrade finishes. They don't get to do anything. Okay, there's 1 Cyclone left, but this has been a complete disaster from Maru. A lot of damage put onto a Nexus that then doesn't die, so that's just wasted damage for the most part here. And now 2 Cyclones dead, so he's got 1 Cyclone with the upgrade. I mean, ShoWTimE's just pushing. There is a siege tank up. If the Phoenix had energy left, they might just be able to go in, lift the tank, and maybe make something happen, but also just wants to make sure he doesn't overcommit in either because he's already in a good position. Maru can't do anything for a while. Yeah, he's got a third CC ready, about to be in orbital, but he doesn't have stim for a long time. He doesn't have any real way to kind of put the usual pressure on the map, so this just seems very good for ShoWTimE. What a great start here on Cosmic Sapphire.
Yeah, inarguably a great start. While Maru might have a 3cc setup, he's kind of just basically delayed on any aggression after this, so it wasn't the cleanest ClickUp, but it was a very succinct cleanup, and it was still kind of quick, so just immediately back into the swing of things for ShoWTimE. Fully saturated 3-base charge, Colossus, and the double forge being slapped down, where Maru is only about halfway done with that stim. I mean, I am already feeling kind of a longer late game, bit of a turtle Maru, as it's going to be a weird position for him to actually think that he can find another opportunity in the future after that opener just did not go well at all.
Yeah, I mean, ShoWTimE's just home free to make Colossus upgrades. Everything he could possibly want. 4th base gets to start as well. Phoenix still moving around, not super committed to Phoenix, right? We've only got 4, so not overkill. And just going to be nice to keep, Marines off the map, keep Vision away, find a couple SCVs maybe now and again. And even these couple of Adepts are looking to see if they can find a couple workers as well. So ShoWTimE, great position so far. I mean, once Maru does get those upgrades in play, there is going to be still scary fights. With this amount of tanks able to target fire Colossi, there is always going to be a possibility. He is the one that has to put in the work to find a very good fight. Otherwise, yeah, he's behind.
ShoWTimE can even eventually start to be a little bit of a bully. Now, with that many tanks, you really can't utilize the Colossus range as if you were going up just by a Widow Mine, but you can still kind of control the map a little bit, and that's where he started to create open opportunities for himself in more like Game 3 that they played again earlier on in TSL 9 on Stargazers. I mean, not so much a similar setup as in the opening, not going super well for Maru, but as far as this tank-based defense and a longer stage of the game, ShoWTimE was actually able to make some room there, which I expect to happen again once he's settled, basically. And he's very close to being settled. 4 base finishing, 1-1 upgrades, 35 seconds to go, and then really just perfecting his army. Maybe maxes out first, then goes a little bit maybe, but yeah, Maru just is so limited on those options to do anything that actually hurts ShoWTimE right now. So we have kind of like a little Marine hit squad run by that might just be cheeky, like 20 probes if it's not being noticed. And it is noticed, and I guess in return the Adept's taken care of, so either way.
ShoWTimE's like, oh no, my 2 Adepts. Yeah, I mean, at least they spotted this, but he has other spotting units out and about, right? Again, he's had the time to set up and get that vision going, so he shouldn't be surprised by moves like that. He should be able to deal with them ahead of time, and now on the right-hand side, this could be needs to be careful. There's 3 Colossi out here with the rest of this army. Well, yeah, Maru's just already dropped a stim, so as he can turn that run forward into a run away. And at the same time, ShoWTimE also had just a few units on the left-hand side. He's got a Prism out now, so he can reinforce into a fight. If he wants to take one, it's just, do you really want to attack into that choke point, that wall off, all those siege tanks? No, probably not. And that's what Maru's great at, right? Delaying the game until he gets his chance, his best chance at turning it around and taking a great fight.
Yeah, but what the Protoss can do is just basically be the I'm not touching you person. Like, they don't have to actually punch you and get in trouble. they can just kind of be like, well, eventually gonna punch, right? Hopefully around the 4th base. I really don't think he should punch, but he's gonna go for it. Wow. Let's see how this actually works out. I mean, the Ghosts did not have enhanced shockwaves. They're certainly surprised, and the Phoenix lives on the tank. Do take 3 to 5 out of the equation. ShoWTimE actually read that absolutely perfectly. He just busted through there, no problem whatsoever. ShoWTimE with a dominating game 1.
Yeah, no, it works, right? It's just one of those moments where you have to have such a good read because it's so easy to make this attack and it's just not quite enough, and then you lose way more than expected.
Yeah.
It's a very fine line. In this case, he smashed it down, but you never know when those couple tanks, maybe you don't get the lifts off properly and the Phoenix gets shot down sooner, then the tanks target the Colossi, you lose the DPS you need. It's that snowball effect, and you're just inviting that to happen. And yeah, you don't want to let Maru macro, but that's why ShoWTimE has to be very, very confident about that attack in.
Yeah, I really don't know if Maru was expecting the attack either. Because the couple of the things that could have happened that, again, would make a Protoss be like, well, I think I could, but like, I don't know. SimCity could be an issue, which was set up a little bit. The EMP could have come down first before the engagement even happened, and then imagine a Protoss having no shields and energy, and then they engage. That's a big difference. And then the bio actually in a bit more of a concave. It was quite just, it was surrounded super quickly. So not the most ideal scenario for a Terran player. And of course, the fact that Maru was down in supply was always going to lessen his chances of holding. But that was one of the best defensive positions that a StarCraft player can give themselves. It just didn't have any of the appropriate kind of, beginning stage to a decent fight. So ShoWTimE, yeah, he did read that perfectly, but it was also just one of the cleanest, swiftest games, too. So if he was a little more doubtful about X, Y, or Z, if he did just break down the rocks and go somewhere else, then obviously those extra 30 seconds, enhanced shockwaves, EMPs coming down first before any engagement happens, so on and so forth. And Maru has actually successfully defended, and we're talking about probably 15, 20-minute game. But ShoWTimE, he really could just do the cleanest build after dealing with that Cyclone push.
Absolutely. As we get ourselves ready for game 2, of course, we go from ShoWTimE's in theory favorite map of this map pool to Maru's, which is Waterfall. It's short, it's good for Terran. If you're trying to play any sort of Stargate on here, you are going to have, a Marine Cyclone push coming your way, hitting super early on, being very punishing. This map is generally going to be good for Maru. So we'll see what he does with it. We'll see what ShoWTimE tries to do around that as well. It's the kind of map where, drop a second gateway down, proxy it or something, sometimes just getting in there early, throw the Terran off, and that can help you get to the mid-game, which is otherwise that much tougher to find.
Yeah, and ShoWTimE did not show any hesitation to be a little bit on the cheesier side in their best of 3, whereas Victory still came in the form of a lot of the macro games. ShoWTimE has developed, of course, as a player since, 6, 7, whatever years ago, where we knew him as basically just the macro, just the wall. So on a short map like this, perhaps that would be wise, or perhaps just playing very conservative, extra conservative style. In the top rights for Onside Gaming, he is the Purple Terran, Maru.
In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got our yellow Protoss player. It is ShoWTimE. It is up a game, guys.
Yeah, I know it's. I know we all had our expectations going into this one. There we go. But ShoWTimE very much deserving of that victory. Because his defense of that was so well read, actually. Like, I really wanted to be able to go back and see exactly at what point he figured it was going to be. A push, I guess, might have been even on the nose. Maybe that's not really, like, bewildering, right? But did ShoWTimE know exactly that it was going to be that push? Like, that much I don't know about. And the way that Cyclones can work versus, like, a tank dynamic versus other forms of pushes can be a bit tricky. But ShoWTimE, with the 2 shield batteries so well placed in the back, very not targetable, and we're going to get picked off when Maru rushed in. And then actually, I think choosing to build into a couple extra Phoenix, not just going for, like, one just to be like, oh, I dealt with the medevac, okay. Like, I'm good. And then actually being able to pump out Immortal, too. Like, it all came together, basically. And it made it look like a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like that might be one of the last times to see Macfield from Maru in this series as well. Yeah, just what a rough opening. This opening double gas, so it's going to be a bit slow to expand, but that's obviously good because this map is short, so you can be more aggressive with it. And if the Protoss did throw a curveball, you don't have to worry so much about defending your expansion initially because it's going to be a bit later. You'll have a couple more units. Sometimes you build the expansion high ground. The double gas just makes a lot of sense on maps like Waterfall.
I feel like Well, I actually don't really want to call what ShoWTimE's going to do because he has worked so well in becoming a good best of player. That again, like maybe years ago, I would have just defaulted to him doing some really conservative, like two-base Colossus, which definitely has its, like, I think more downsides than upsides actually. You know, Phoenix Colossus has something to say, but I'm talking like real basic. Can't say the word on stream, but just like just an right Colossus. But it's that it can't be that. I feel like in today's meta and the way that everyone plays, but also with ShoWTimE again having changed things up, so it is going to be into a Twilight Council, and this, for instance, could be again like opening up maybe even like a 4-gate blink, which I don't know, might be too on the nose. Maybe Maru would be too much in anticipation of that and be too good at defending, but Maru could try, or ShoWTimE could try and take control over the game once this phase has passed. The 2 Reapers and a Hellion. Gonna try and do some damage.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up and try and see what's going on. Stalker getting some good shots off, and we are not gonna see 1 Reaper fall just yet. But then the Adept gonna make it a little bit tougher. Does get 1 of the kills. And we have got this Reaper still trying to make its getaway. Should be good. Regening a little bit, only takes 1 more shot. And Maru, just a scout in the end of his first couple of Reapers, as he even dove back into the main base. More info, maybe try and get a probe here. And is going to get 1 at least low. Continues to chase. The probe surround doesn't go off. We grenade. Run, probe, run. Wow, nice save.
That is really nice, actually. I gotta say, ShoWTimE, he's not showing any break mentality, that's for sure. Like, everything is very clean. Last game literally started with, well, I guess more of a mistake from Maru, sure, but still. The Reaper is going down first and foremost. And ShoWTimE, perhaps even from that one moment, is like, yeah, okay, it's like things are okay. And then, of course, he wins game number 1. And the confidence, if it was ever in doubt, no longer so. So he actually just confidently takes a 2 gateway blink opener into a 3rd base, which... This is the thing that I would be a little scared of doing on the smaller maps against Terran, right? Like, it's not that it's impossible, but I don't know, personally, I would find it to be very scary, but he is going to try. And against the Wouldn't Mind drop, well, obviously there's no problem here. You just make sure to pull the probes away, of course. But anything more aggressive, anything different than this, it would have been a little sketch. Pull the probes and, well, the Stalkers. 2 of them are going to go down here. No, just barely not 2.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Nicely done. 1 Hellion in the main base is actually going to cause a bit of a problem because it can chase some probes down, gets 3. Oh my god, we're going to see 4 probes die. Obviously 3 from the Hellion, 1 did die on the low ground. But yeah, that was a bit more successful than you might have thought, as this Wouldn't Mind was going to go on an adventure. Stalkers do blink in, they get a kill. Nice little bit of starter damage from Maru, as he is really only 3 works behind. Obviously, pretty good position to be in worker-wise at this point in the game. Medivac survives this as well, so that's 1 extra Medivac you have. And the Raven already making its move out, which we've seen repeatedly throughout this weekend. Just so useful in those mineral lines, just picking away at a few probes and then eventually pulling back and having so much utility in the army later in the game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it seems like the Korean Terrans, Maru especially, isn't really going to shy away from Ravens, even against what most people consider, you know, the bad or like build order against it, like Phoenix. I would say like the second, maybe not worse, but just like a little less ideal as well would be just Blinkstalker Charge for Ravens. Getting a good anti-armor missile can be sometimes difficult, so if this is relegated to just going for auto turret harassment, I actually would not be surprised, as it does come in and see the Twilight Council is still actually upgrading. It's going to see the amount of gas in the natural as well. Hopefully it doesn't die. The Stalker is being warped on that 3rd, and there's a lot of dead airspace in the middle.
No.
It's kind of a smaller unit, so maybe there is. Okay, there is.
Yeah, just about, as we do lose a couple of probes to the auto turret, and the problem is 1 Stalker in each of these locations, that Raven's not going anywhere. I guess the good news, of course, is then at least Stalkers are sat back waiting to deal with it, and then it's not all the Stalkers on the map. That is something the Terrans usually look for, as Maru can be powering up towards an attack when these upgrades finish. Charge and Prism on the way out, as we do have ShoWTimE.
Yeah.
He can also just set up for his own kind of aggression / just dealing with this Terran push. If you have a ton of gateway units, Terran push ain't going to go anywhere. And it definitely feels like Maru should be looking to push out at some point soon and take a 3rd behind it if that's going to be the plan.
Yeah, with the way that ShoWTimE is setting up here, no Forge, no additional probe production, no additional gases. It would be nice of Maru to kind of be able to maybe recognize this, because he just lost the Raven. Recognize it and then actually not commit to a push. There's always that weird thing that can happen, especially on the shorter maps, where the amount of gateways available, like actual warp-ins, hasn't quite reached the amount that the Frost is hoping for, so a push from the Terran like this does catch them kind of in a worse position. But more often, more likely, you're just going to have a swamp. ShoWTimE is going to have more units, not particularly here right now, as the Zealot Warpins actually went into the Warp Prism for harassments, and that is doing some damage, but over here is what I was talking about, but no shield battery. Okay, nope. There is one in the natural, pretty far back. Robo and Gateway are going to be under fire, and he is now coming through his own choke, which is certainly less ideal. And actually, this is what I was talking about, where it just is before those gateways actually pump out the units, and then the Terran gets a snowball effect.
Yeah, there's just never enough Zealots, and obviously some went across the map and found, 4 workers is very minimal damage. You see the extra Zealots, now they just die so quickly. If you have twice the Zealot numbers going into that fight, then the Zealots always remain, the Stalkers get that much more damage. You really do just kind of run over this army, but never really found those numbers. Cleans out the tanks now, but there's still Bio left over, and of course reinforcements will be streaming across the map at this point as well, so there is more to come from Maru. He gets to the high ground, he's going to take down the battery, he can take down that pylon maybe, he's actually just going to turn and fight the Stalkers. Clearly isn't afraid of the Zealot Warpin. GG's, and Maru will win his first map pick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I feel like that is such a painful one for the Protoss. That's maybe where my own bias is coming in here, but I feel like, doing the same build order and being like, yes, I should be able to build enough Zealots. Like, and I'll just totally conquer this little army, and he'll be on the run, and I'll counter, and it'll just go so swimmingly. I'll be amazing. And then they hit, particularly good timing. Perhaps they changed some things in their own build order. Maybe the reinforcements arrived just before I figured, which kind of happened in that scenario. And then suddenly you're like, well, no, I still have a lot of gateways and Zealots, right? No, I don't. Oh, okay, never mind. And by the time you're building Zealots in your own natural, going through your own choke, it's bad. ShoWTimE then did try and make a bit more of a surround happen with some warpins from the third base, but just the amount of units wasn't there. Plus, the micro that the Bio is guaranteed going to have. Not going to let a lot of those Zealots actually get those touches. Yes, they'll take care of the tanks eventually, but even these tanks got a lot of shots off before they died. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely did. We're going to be looking at Stargazers for map number 3 as well, by the way, so getting that ready, getting that set. Stargazers is absolutely a fun map where, the Pros can get those in bases. They can get a lot of bases up very easily. And the Terran can kind of utilize sometimes the in-base expansion to kind of drop into and then attack. That can create a lot of intrigue. There's definitely positions the Terran can sit on this map and then create a lot of action from. We'll see if Maru can find that. Well, ShoWTimE's defense is going to be on point. Because if there is one thing ShoWTimE we continue to, commend him for, it's just how good he can be defending when his base setup is pretty well defendable.
Yeah, when he's settled, he does a really good job with anticipating the Terran. I'll get more into that after the intros. Top left of Stargazers for Onside Gaming, it is Maru.
And the top right-hand side, our yellow Protoss player is from Big Clan, of course. He is ShoWTimE. We'll see what the build choice of Maru is going to be here. See if we go back to some one gas expanding instead of the double gas opener. Obviously, there's generally kind of a nice expansion you can take here because the Terran can just put their CC in base, right? And then mine out the minerals, morph into an orbital, float it over. It's just very happy, very friendly. It's one of the benefits Terran have on this map compared to the other races.
Last time they played, Maru tried to do a lot of harassment. Bunker in the natural mineral line, always annoying, into, I want to say, a drop of some type, a couple of scouting units. By the end of the, harassment phase, ShoWTimE had lost 3 probes, and Maru had lost 2 Widow Mines, a medevac, a Reaper, 4 Marines, a bunker, just all sorts of stuff. Basically, ShoWTimE had one of the, I'm going to say, best openers that a Protoss could have. And made the rest of the game at least a little bit easier, although it still went on for an extended period of time. So I don't know if Maru, of course, remembers that. We are talking about a series played at this point a month ago? Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So I doubt that's really going to be on the forefront of their mind. But if Maru were to try to do that again, I just think that it would not work. Because the last couple times that he has tried, it hasn't worked out so well either. The first game, Reaper died instantly. Second game, also, I think, rather well handled, even though that Hellion added to the Widow Mine, added some cheekiness to it.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that Hellion, the Widow Mine drop itself was actually pretty well dealt with. It was the Hellion that really found the above and beyond after the medevac escape from life was a nice touch as well. Maru does opt for the factory before he expands. I genuinely am a little bit surprised about this as well. I really didn't expect him to kind of go that way. Just thought he might continue through, as we do now send an SCV to the low ground after we have the starport built right in the corner. So not even just factory expand, but starport, then look towards the expand.
Exactly. And I do think that's certainly one of the powers of the factory expand, and especially on a map where you have the hidden natural. You can't see if they're going to take it or not, unless you get like a super early sentry hallucination, and then I guess then the Oracle will eventually see it, of course. By that time, the starport's already, whatever unit pops out's already on the way over, a medevac. So that's dangerous. But I love the mix-up there. So, all right, the kind of precedent has been set. Factory expand into a bit of a macro game, maybe a push, maybe just in the 3 racks. Now this time it actually is into a Hellion drop immediately, and then into cloaked Widowmine drops as well. So this is certainly very dedicated harassment. And if this gets shut down, then it could be one of the easiest games of ShoWTimE's career. But what are the chances that it's completely shut down? Usually very low. Even the best Protoss in the world mess up at some point against this.
And ShoWTimE just doesn't have the information. 2 of his adepts, 3 of his adepts are all on the map. The Oracle here is pulling back to deal with this, but the Hellions can absolutely deal some damage. The probes at least will begin to pre-split as the Hellions are here to get some damage done. 3, 4 workers killed. I mean, so far not terrible. We force a lift up. Oracle will continue to chase this back down to the natural, and ShoWTimE. Now let's see if we can stop it at just this amount of damage done. Obviously we could maybe lift up one of those Hellions. And this is going to be the Phoenix here to shut down the medevac. So it's honestly starting to look really good, considering that 6 probes does not really make up for how late that expansion of Maru is.
Exactly. That is the number one problem here. It wasn't an expansion into this. It was this. And then the Widowmines, which still have a lot of potential. So I'm kind of waiting on what the Widowmines do. But for the situation ShoWTimE found himself in, which is blind, that was pretty effective defense. And a good thing that he had the shield battery and the natural to help out as well. And of course, the shield battery would not help out against the Widowmines, which ShoWTimE seemed to be prepared for. Pulls the probes away initially. And now, well, yeah, might have sacrificed an adept. Not even, actually. 4 adepts were there to take that Widowmine down. And then you just got to wait a little bit for all the revelations necessary to clean things up, but they will happen.
Yeah, they will. If that one extra mine is just burrowed in on the 3rd base where the probes might transfer via just a little something, right? That could be a little surprise, and ShoWTimE didn't quite pay attention. Pulling right now, the timing's pretty good for the left Widowmine, but obviously the right Widowmine is still on cooldown for just a little bit longer. That's going to fire in a second off of one of these probes, and then ShoWTimE finally can get back to mining. So yeah, Widowmine's definitely finding value in slowing ShoWTimE down. But ShoWTimE's also been pretty good at just keeping his worker count up. He's maintaining an 11 worker lead, which is always pretty comfortable. And again, Phoenix have been shutting down these medevacs, so they are never getting to survive too long. Just forcing this to be more and more expensive for Maru, who's lost 2 medevacs already. Now these Widowmines will go down without doing too much else. At least it maybe gives that chance, that other medevac, that final medevac, a chance to actually get away here.
Wow. I gotta say, I was expecting one of these Widowmines to surprise him. Like the one that walked into the natural, for instance.
Yep, absolutely.
I feel like that would have gotten a lot of the pros. But no, ShoWTimE continues to do, great work defensively. There are still all the things that are happening while he's doing this, right? The lost mining time, of course. The Phoenix aren't going across the map to do any harassment. Not yet, anyways. So, sure, that is to be considered. But I think what is really important is that he did get his 3rd down. There was no maybe weird block on that with a cloaked Widowmine. So that's been building this entire time while he's had to really exert a lot of APM to deal with all of this. Love the attempt that held that drop. I mean, that's pretty cool use of 2 Hellions that are otherwise going to be useless. That gets denied. Doesn't distract, however, not good enough. So once again, ShoWTimE, this time barely on the ball, but he is.
Still, the Observer just dies. That's unfortunate. The only thing I would say about the Hellbat drop is, even if it didn't distract per se, it pulled the Phoenix out of position, right? So there wasn't any lifts on Widowmines before they landed, and we still have more Widowmines showing up as well. And now ShoWTimE's a little bit behind on each and every defense. Yeah, he does just get across to get these 2 mines. So, I mean, that was fantastic. Wow. As we have got this mine here going to get cleaned up. The new Observer being out really does start to put an end to this. There's just that 1 mine left in the back of the main base right now. The Phoenix are going to go chasing the medevac, so in the back of the main we might have an explosion, and we do for 6 probes.
Yeah, I think that's when ShoWTimE's
finally missed.
Yeah, his view looked over there for a second. Yeah, that's when it actually popped off. So that's the biggest single Widow Mine shot that we've had so far. So in total, 22 probes have gone down, but in exchange for 13 Widow Mines, 5 medevacs. The Hellions, I mean, themselves not super expensive, but part of the delay of the economy in the opener. I'd still say this is pretty good. Just also keep in mind, I guess, when ShoWTimE has third base up and triple chrono, triple probes. Maru, what has he been doing this entire time? Kind of catching up on the production in general. So barracks have finished. Stim is on the way. It's actually done, actually. I don't think combat shields have started, though.
No.
So that's maybe something that he is just like, forgetting about right now.
Yeah, I would agree, right? I mean, we're at that point where he's definitely got the gas for it. Combat shield's typically important, as that's an interesting revelation. Must have believed the mine was there and just dodged back, so... yeah, gonna miss out on that one, as we do just see this Widow Mine walking straight into the natural, gets dealt with immediately by the few units. So Maru's still trying to find openings, still trying to find damage, but so far unsuccessful. And ShoWTimE really is comfortably up onto a Colossus count, charge coming through, all those gates getting online. And I think the main thing is that Maru just doesn't have much army to show for himself right now. It's still just mines, a medevac. You know, the Marine count's getting there as this medevac will not go down, but the drop is denied at least. There's just nothing Maru can do in the next 10, 20 seconds to show up and deal damage. Maybe in a couple minutes, but by then ShoWTimE's going to be so well set up on gates he didn't have in the last game and all the rest of it. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was trying to point out, is that Maru, during the time that we've been watching ShoWTimE and his base, he has been just trying to catch up on that barracks production. So yeah, the follow-up to all of these Widow Mine drops, it's not that swift. Like, ShoWTimE has time to both get himself set up and, as good of a player as he is, also get a defensive with an army once this push finally happens. So he should be good to go. Maru now is going to be able to do some multitasking once again with more punishing units. Again, Widow Mines, they get one, 20 probe shot. That's pretty punishing, but otherwise harassment units. Well, now you're talking about actual bio drops. Things get a bit spicier, but ShoWTimE should be feeling that comfortable position that you brought up at the beginning of the game. Once he's got things settled, shield batteries in the bases, detectors, and observation around the map, he typically does a very good job predicting where the Terran's going to come in from. And Stargazers kind of has the more obvious drop path into that hanging natural, but ShoWTimE is considering. He's actually got some defenses there.
Yeah. Just going to be in position pretty much straight away as our medevacs decide to take their exit back through the top watchtower. And ShoWTimE just gets more time to set up. The one thing I didn't notice was how quick Maru's fourth base was. He was moving that in position while ShoWTimE's was still building, because it still is building, right? So the speed of that fourth base definitely says something for Maru. And even if he didn't have an army to show it, at least he's had an economy to show for it, all said and done. And that obviously means that as time passes by, he is able to now just tech up, and now he is going to have that army to be competitive with ShoWTimE's forces. And we could really have a bit of a late game on our hands. That drop in the main base and the picture-in-picture continues as ShoWTimE kind of chases through the center. He's going through a Widow Mine, though. That ain't pretty, and he just needs to get actual units up here to help, which he does now have. And this should be Maru probably just backing up, using these Widow Mines, even kiting a little bit where possible.
That was a good point about Maru's fourth base. That was particularly fast. And check the income graph, and we had Maru spike up for a hot second. Like, that was a lot of economy there. Otherwise, it wasn't too bad, but of course there's going to be spikes when you're pulling all your probes away from Widow Mines. So yeah, actually, like, despite how, again, I would say a lot of Protosses would have screwed up bigger more often than ShoWTimE did, it's not like Maru was all in with this idea. And now really taking it to the late game. Fifth base is on the way, second starport as well, as 2-2 is going to finish. And ShoWTimE is going to have some trouble, I think, protecting now a fifth base setup. That's actually starting to get his army really far away from the top side of the map. So he's got to be very careful with how he splits his army, as he doesn't quite know exactly what Maru is positioning every which way. Checking his vision on the map. There's not too much for ShoWTimE. They just get a Zella run by the looks of things to cancel a base.
Yeah, just hitting the MP here. Obviously, Maru is able to grab a pylon or so, a couple of cannons. Just again threatening in so many directions. Colossus eats a Widow Mine shot as well, and this is where it can get chaotic, right? If you lose track of one too many of Maru's armies, or just misjudge how large one of them is, everything can start to again have that snowballing avalanche effect where you lose out here, so you overcompensate, and then the next strike hits you even harder. And those are all things to think about. And stuff like the Phoenix count also being brought down to only 3 now just means that you've got that little bit less control over some of the drops, for example, over some of the vision you might usually want to keep, and now it's going to be brought down to 1 and a bit. That Phoenix just getting to live, but yeah, just really not really acting as drop defense any longer.
No, it's actually really annoying that Terran player would do that. They'd bring Vikings to protect their meta.
How dare they?
That's not supposed to happen. No, that's just the little extra bit that really makes the Protoss have to consider, how am I defending that? I don't just get a free pass because I have a couple of Phoenix there, and now I might even have any Phoenix because I just didn't expect to lose them. So I gotta say, Maru is playing out the mid to late game, because we really are heading into the late game quite well. As again, before, harassment units could have popped off. They didn't really so much. Okay, let's move on. Now it's about those more lethal units. The potential for that snowball effect that you were talking about is there. ShoWTimE underestimates one drop, one push, then overcompensates somewhere else, and suddenly it is problematic. They got Robotics Pate killed, so no Warp Prism speed. And ShoWTimE is trying to move through the middle of the map, but his upgrades are not particularly good. Maru's army is not aware of this and is going to have to return home. Yeah, don't build those command centers, but a planetary is already there.
Yeah, I only made an Excite sound because Grivic Drive's not the craziest upgrade to lose, but I think it was actually like 0.1 second or so. It was so close. We do have a push from ShoWTimE then, but into planetary, don't really like that. Maru's dodging away from the Disruptor, and honestly, he has surround potential. He's got the army from the top side coming through. ShoWTimE's bringing reinforcements across as well. This game is about to get really interesting as Disruptors are going to dive. I mean, one of them will connect as we do have the Vikings able to make a dive on Colossi. The EMPs are there. The Zealots flanking do not seem like they will do anywhere near enough. And Maru's army is going to shred that of ShoWTimE's. ShoWTimE has to turn tail and run as Maru's collapse was way more effective than the reinforcements appearing from ShoWTimE.
Yeah, well, ShoWTimE really didn't have very effective reinforcements there, man. Like, he came in single file, so they're even less effective than they should have been. But of course, the charge lot single file or node in the first thing there, and they weren't going to add enough. 2 Disruptors get picked off, and Maru, I mean, maxed out to 160 supply here. I feel like he could just continue on. Actually, after killing those Disruptors, always a bit tough to actually chase after Protoss, who is building Disruptors. You don't want to make that mistake as a Terran player, but it feels like actually Maru could continue with momentum, perhaps just getting those Liberators more so on the front lines. And now things are looking really scary as Liberators going to draw lines in the sand over and over again until they actually reach ShoWTimE's base, which he absolutely still needs to mine. But what can he do against this position?
Yeah, really not much. He's going to try and come in from 2 sides. I think he knows he just kind of has to fight here, so he will try to, but generally shouldn't be good. The Lib's already putting out a lot of damage as Maru, even if he gets cleaned up here, it's been a good trade for him. And the Stalkers blink forward, trying to get the Libs. The Disruptors just do not find enough, and this Bioforce just is not disappearing. We've got a nuke landing on this base in a few moments. We will not get to see it land. Maru has too much and does establish himself a 2-1 lead in the best of 7.
Dang. Some really excellent fights there from Maru towards the end. Again, those Liberators were just really too tough to deal with, because when it's just bio, there is always that chance that Disruptors, hits, or Concaves are really good. Liberators, yeah, you can try and circumvent them, but when they're on something like important like this, it just makes it so damn difficult. And ShoWTimE did try and take one of the better fights that I think you could have done to win his position. But worse upgrades. He was going up against a 3-3 bio army. Liberators that weren't really being one-shot by the amount of Stalkers. And then, yeah, a choke that was kind of hurting his Zealots as well. It was too good of a situation for Maru. Gotten from some of the earlier drops, just constantly poking and prodding at ShoWTimE. And eventually opening up that opportunity. But man, how... At the end of the early game, it was kind of surprising that ShoWTimE just really was missing some crucial features. Like, the 4th base up for Maru already when his was still finishing, and then those upgrades, they were really abysmal.
Yeah, no, I guess that was the effect of all of that harassment that really came to be. You know, I said, oh, it feels like Maru doesn't have an army and stuff. But yeah, there was stuff missing from ShoWTimE, and yeah, no, it just feels as though now that's a rough game to lose, because he even felt like he was in a decent spot, kind of, you know, like, yeah, that fight obviously is what started it all, but his army wasn't bad. He was getting to Disruptors. Like, he's about to hit a real powering moment, and yeah, Maru's controlling the map and stuff, but we know ShoWTimE can fight in the late game, and he's really about to get there. Those Disruptors get up, you start thinking about DTs and that kind of harassment. Yeah, okay, Maru's also on his way to Liberators and stuff, but he just had to get away from that bottom left sooner, and it all just fell apart in that one moment. So hopefully, ShoWTimE can turn it around, but that was one of his map picks now that goes to the way of Maru, so he's going to have to make it up somewhere along the way, perhaps even here on Inside and Out for game number 4.
Heading into it now, Respawning in the top right of Inside and Outs. On top of the purple Terran for Onside Gaming, Maru.
In the bottom left, our yellow Protoss. Give it up if you're cheering on ShoWTimE.
Yes, I think the crumble really did start to happen at the bottom left. And what's really painful about that for ShoWTimE too is that not just that he had a great defense in the early game, which is probably also pretty painful, like, oh man, I really thought I did okay against this. Or that he was in an okay position otherwise, aside from the battle. But it was that he was, I think, clearly aware that that was going to happen. Yep. Like, he started to pull back. I think not just because he realized the planetary wasn't going to get cracked. Like, that, maybe that was maybe that was a little more obvious, and ShoWTimE took a couple extra seconds more than expected to be like, oh yeah, okay, that's not going to work. But absolutely, as he pulled back, I do believe he knew that the rest of the army was going to be coming forward. He knew that he was in danger of being surrounded, and I think he even wanted to send maybe a disruptor shot out to the right side before it gets sniped off, but he just did. But then instead of maybe realizing, really, I have to get out of here, really, I need to go to ASAP, maybe even recalling, he said, okay, well, the rest of my army's coming. And thought that maybe he could turn the sandwich into an even bigger sandwich. Yep. It just didn't work out that way at all. Perfect timing, maybe it would have been really cool. But I actually doubt that perfect timing anyways. Like, if I envision the same scenario where the top half of the army was all together, all there, I still don't think it's that slam dunk of a case. Just because his army isn't perfected yet. Yeah. With the right amount of units and with the right upgrades.
I'm completely with you. I just don't think you want to fight. Like, put some pressure on, get back home. But just get the disruptors up. You know, if you need to buy a bit more time, that's what the disruptors are really there for as well. They can hold Maru back, but they didn't hold him back because he got too much of a jump on you. Then you lose the 2 extra ones, and that basically invites him to just keep on attacking as well, right? So, yeah, just one of those things, one of those mistakes which is just so heavily punished when you play someone like Maru, because you know he recognizes how good a fight can be. You know he's going to take the best fight he can. And when he does those things, yeah, then you're just a bit out of position. There is just no comeback to that. As this is, once again, Factory before we expand, just on the side of Maru. 2 Reapers, 1 Hellion, the initial setup. And ShoWTimE going to be ditching the Stargate here for a Twilight Council.
Well, didn't gain over 2. He also went for a fast Zealots coming through the middle of the map. Well, it skirted around, but then it came through. And I love the double feature for some of these early micro moments. Really cool to watch them both micro this out. Zealots, yeah, now just kind of going for a scout. Gonna go for a little bit of that chaos, but not effective in delaying the command center at all, which really would have been ideal.
Yeah. But it'd be nice just to put a few seconds behind what already is a delayed CC, right? So now we've got the Adept and Stalker coming out to try and greet these units. I love that. Gonna get a couple shots off that he might not have usually, as long as we don't actually lose the Adept, which he will not. Had the Shade, and the units took a step back for a moment, and now this Hellion is going to go down. Actually, don't know. We get the Adept, but 1 Reaper left over. Second Stalker here. Yeah, I mean, Maru basically trades out his units for, in the end, just a scout, really. Just about sees that Twilight Council, I imagine.
Yeah, go with the shield battery in the main.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I was like, I'm surprised he did it, because he might have just been thinking, like, consistent aggression, but when he realized it was, again, a factory expand, he was like, okay, that's not really going to work. But, so that would have covered him against, like, a Reaper backstab if he did commit to the aggression. But I'm surprised he didn't, I didn't see when it finished. I was going to say cancel it, maybe. Anyways. That will be there. It's not going to help against Widowmine drops. They one-shot everything, even the splash. And there's no Hellion drop, so it's not going to help with that either.
No.
And this, yeah, certainly more important. It's just not going to be scouted.
Okay, next one. Probe.
The probe?
The probe?
Yeah.
Probe runs behind the mineral line.
Yeah.
No, you're kidding. No.
There you go.
Okay.
I mean, with the way that Maru's been opening for the past few games, you would hope that ShoWTimE is at least anticipating this, is aware of the possibility, and certainly he is. So, even though it's really fast Widowmine drop, it's just the factory expand.
Oh,
Maru's been going for.
My goodness. Oh, Probe Nelly got to the assimilator to hide away as well. Alright, well, that wasn't too disastrous. Obviously, the Medevac getting out alive is nice. This Widowmine getting out alive would be even better, but unrealistic. Medevac was like, hey, maybe I can get him, but not there in time. And 2 probes for 2 mines is pretty okay for the Terran. Gets an update as well on just what's happening in that base.
You know, I'm a little surprised that ShoWTimE didn't opt for the 3rd Nexus. He warped in instead. Now he's going to get the 3rd Nexus, but that's later, right? Like,
yeah.
He's looking for a little bit of a counter. He successfully grabs the medevac, which is fantastic. But a tank's going to siege up, and Stalkers really aren't going to get anything from this. An Observer might let them up to the main base once, but probably not twice, because there is a Raven, even searching for it at this point. So yeah, that third Nexus, maybe it's inconsequential, but it does feel later.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The base just doesn't... I mean, you just don't gain anything from the extra warp in at this point. And obviously that's easy for us to say now, but did he really expect that 2 extra Stalkers were going to make the difference? Did he really think he was going to find like a siege tank he could just jump on that wasn't protected otherwise? I mean, maybe, but I think most of the time that Nexus a little bit sooner probably would have been the better option. And of course, right now, Maru is powering up into something a little bit spectacular. 5 barracks, no third CC. We saw him bring out a lot of 2-base stuff in TVZ yesterday, and now he's going to do it in TVP.
Well, it's actually feeling like a decent bit like game number 2 on Waterfall. Again, no forges, lack of gas, but even less ideal third Nexus, I want to say. But all the gateways coming down, Warp Prism on the way, so let's focus on that. Against Maru with his setup, is it going to be the same game plan as Maru does scan, again, the gases and the amount of gateways, might have an idea of what's going on here. But is it going to be the Warp Prism, Zealot Warp in, and then the attempted defense at home, or is it going to be prioritizing the defense at home and then countering, which I do believe would have gone better on Waterfall?
Yeah, on Waterfall for sure that would have been the way to go, because the Zealots just didn't achieve enough, and then obviously you need to defend at home, otherwise a few Zealots killing some works just doesn't make much of a difference. Combat Shields is done, Maru's starting to push out, the Prism will get into position, as we do have ShoWTimE, who is now on 9 gateways, already has 5 Zealots. If you can get to 14, I mean, that's a lot of Zealots to work with, but the SCVs are coming as well, so Maru's not going to be chilling out at all here in this game number 4. Yeah,
this is actually really problematic, really difficult for a pure gateway army to defend, that is Stalkers and Zealots. If we had some Archons, that would be beautiful, but we're nowhere close. So can ShoWTimE make the defense happen? Once again, some units used for harassment are not helping out back at home. A lot of Zealots have been warped in, yes, but then immediately get popped off by a couple of Wood Mines. One still active, ready to go as well. Natural being breached. There's not much more that ShoWTimE can do to stop that from happening, and that's where a lot of his production is.
Yeah, he's going to come down the ramp with the Zealots, but they're going to need one more big Widow Mine shot, and I don't think that Maru really minds about his tank going down, as the Argon is going to stem up into the main base. So all of these Stalkers are dropping, and I mean, Zealots alone just aren't going to get it done, especially if there's still SCVs to protect. Zealots warping into the fight. They do not get to spawn, so that's just great trades. This Super Battery just can't heal anything because everything is dying too quickly, and this is where the SCVs are going to be MVPs as well. Keep those Zealots out. ShoWTimE can't make it happen. Taps out GG, and Maru will be on match point with a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, exactly. That's potentially going to be closing in on the end of the series unless ShoWTimE can bring it back. You know, he won game number 1, and that was actually really quite clean. I felt like the potential was there strategically for game number 2. Here, even though there was maybe a similar scenario in ShoWTimE's position and what he could do, of course, the biggest difference was that it was an SCV pull. It wasn't just the push. If it was just the push, I do believe that that would have been okay, but the SCV pull, I don't believe that ShoWTimE was able to pick up on that early enough. He did have some limited scouting with the Raven looking around for the Observer, and the Warp Prism only hitting as the SCV pull happened.
Yeah, I mean, the SCVs just weren't seen until, like, he attacked with them. It was just such a late spot. And now ShoWTimE is once again, unfortunately, in trouble here today. We are going to be going to a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to be looking at more Maru versus ShoWTimE.
What is your favorite color?
That's a good question. It's either red or blue, but I think blue.
What is your favorite game other than StarCraft?
The Witcher.
What units do you hate to play against?
Every single Protoss unit.
Favorite map in the map pool?
Data C.
Least favorite map in the map pool?
Waterfall.
Dogs or cats?
Both.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
A cat, 100%.
How many eggs can you eat in 10 minutes?
At least, I would say like 15.
Hard-boiled?
Yeah.
How about scrambled eggs?
They're good, but I don't think I could eat too many. I think boiled eggs I could eat 15.
If you hadn't become a pro gamer, what would you have chosen to pursue as a profession?
Well, not much. I would just be wandering the streets and, whatever.
What keyboard switches do you use?
I actually have no clue, but I'm using a Razer keyboard, and it has like its own Razer switch, so I don't know. The keyboard is Huntsman.
How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Too many to actually know.
Who would you rather hang out with, Jim Raynor, Artanis, or Albert?
Jim Raynor.
Who will win TSL 9?
Well, hopefully I'm gonna win, but I feel like there's no escape here, because if I say me, then I'm cocky and I go on Reddit, and if I say someone else, then it's just a boring answer, so I'll just not answer it.
ShoWTimE finds himself on his last life in TSL 9. Unfortunately, knocked down to the lower bracket by Cyril 04. Now up against Maru in a 1-3 position. Obviously, he can win against Maru. He already did in TSL 9, but it seems like Maru has returned to form, and he's in full swing now, and every game is getting maybe even more one-sided.
It's looking pretty comfortable for him, right? I mean, even Stargazers where ShoWTimE defends and defends and defends. It's like, well, I'm Maru and I'm dictating the pace of the game. I'm attacking you. You're playing my game the entire time. And yeah, then what? ShoWTimE moves across the map one time, it feels like. And Maru's like, perfect. My chance to strike takes you down. And yeah, it just feels really tough because, especially after that last game as well, Maru can do anything.
Yeah.
So he's dangerous. He's ready to fight. And you have to win 3 in a row against him. Yeah. That ain't easy.
Exactly. Yeah, Stargazers was back and forth enough. I think there was a lot of potential there for either one of them, but this last game was really just a punch to the face. There was not much that ShoWTimE, I think, could have done with the information that he had. Even if he did have information, honestly, it's very difficult to make that hold with the setup that the Protoss chooses. So I guess a lot of shield batteries, a little bit more time buying might be available, that type of things. And we certainly have seen it, but it's just is a really difficult position. So, even kind of almost like the counter that can be Storm, and then we saw a lot of Storms and Heroes games versus Maru, and I think that is one potential deterrent of the SCV pool. But if ShoWTimE is going to continue showing that exact setup, then maybe Maru does just go like, okay, another 2-base SCV pool, like easy peasy.
Yeah, I mean, just do more of the same, right? If ShoWTimE can't figure out different ways to set up, then why not just keep punishing him for it, as they are prepping to get into a lobby for this 5th game. Could be the end of ShoWTimE. I mean, fantastic run. I mean, cannot be said enough for ShoWTimE. Even if you lose out here, you are top 3 in TSL. Strong prize money, strong show, and probably one of the best results ShoWTimE's had in a very long time.
Yeah, I guess maybe like top 4 DreamHack European regionals was a big deal for him, right? Yeah. But otherwise, you are correct. One of the strongest showings in a very long time. Even from just the get-go, actually pushing Maru down to the lower bracket to begin with already had us kind of looking at ShoWTimE and be like, okay, is this actually that time? And he definitely looked good in every single one of these games, I think, versus Serral. And it's just one of those things where we can chalk it to be like, oh, Serral, all right, okay, cool. Now he's up against Maru, and it's kind of rolling into that effect again. So it didn't start off with Maru looking unbeatable. Absolutely not. ShoWTimE took game number 1. But now Maru's like ramping up, and he's, as I said, getting even more brutal with the victory. So ShoWTimE is going to have to really start pushing back here on Data C.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, what a map though, right? It's kind of the standard. It's nice, big, you kind of do a bit of whatever. Maybe we got a nice little macro game between these two. Maybe we see some back and forth. Let's find out what we're going to be treated with as we get into map number 5. In the bottom left-hand corner on match point, looking to get into that grand finals. Our purple Terran player from Onside Gaming is Maru.
In the top right is the yellow Protoss for Team Big. He is ShoWTimE. I gotta say, with the whole theme we have going on for TSL9, ShoWTimE's name really does work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How did we not have Fear Dragon? Yeah, how did we not have Fear Dragon doing that? He's wearing like the outfit today as well.
Blame Ravi.
Yeah, okay, that's always the default. Blame Ravi. Easy enough for me, man. But you're talking about how ShoWTimE, you know, much applause for him getting one of his best performances of recent memory so far. See if he can continue pushing again. He's on his last life, but it is still a life, right? Things could turn around. Let's talk about the other storylines we got going on, right? Maru, last Korean player in TSL9. They have won the last 5. Last time it was won by a non-Korean was TSL3, which is a very long time ago. If you guys did not know that, very long time ago. So it's been rather Korean dominated since then, although we had Serral try to stop that from happening. He, every time he got to a TSL9 finals, it felt like it was, or TSL finals, it just felt like it was suddenly not Serral. You know what I mean?
He got zerged.
Yes,
he got zerged by Dark, ultra zerged by Rogue.
Yes,
as much as I try and remove that cast from my memory, it still exists.
Yeah, unfortunately it does. So I actually have like a couple of different, I don't know, it's really cool stories coming in for TSL as a tournament. Of course, right now Maru looks like he is once again on the lead to defend Korea's honor, I guess.
You know, maybe getting a bit ahead of myself, but if Maru does just keep it up, it'll be fantastic to see Maru Serral finals where Maru's playing this good. And then a Serral who's honestly been looking very good as well when it comes to ZVT recently.
Right, yes. I mean, there's a reason that Maru and Serral still are the, I don't know, the best finals potential still comes to mind. You'd say, like, yes, a TVZ between Maru and Serral would absolutely be amazing. Not that there are other amazing opportunities and amazing duos, but yeah, that would just be one of the coolest ones. Because we also have now kind of a bit of a renewed meta in like almost all the matchups too. So there are more questions. So right now, for instance, it would be like, can Serral take down Maru's super late game turtle? Which has been questioned before, but just again, some new developments there. And then even against him in ShoWTimE, actually, I was really curious to see if ShoWTimE working with that new gateway style would have worked out. It didn't, unfortunately, so that answer has already been given. But yeah, so looking forward to more questions and answers. As we continue on here, as the first Adept makes his way across the map, second Adept is quickly on the way, and a Stargate as well. And we could have a little bit of that snowball too, but actually have a Hellion opener from Maru, so that's going to actually shut down the Adepts.
Yeah,
soon.
Adepts shouldn't be able to get too much done here. The Hellions will even consider sneaking out, and they do see the Adepts. They will just decide to hit that Adept a little bit, which at this point I believe is more or less guaranteed to die. It's going to take a few more shots. Extra Adept will make the Hellions consider twice, but now that Adept is going to be in a bit of trouble as well as the Hellions chase it down. I mean, we kind of need an Oracle to show up and save this, but not really happening just yet. We are maybe going to lose a Hellion here, which is probably avoidable, but of course still 2 Adepts going down. It's a nice cleanup to start out with.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something that Maru's okay with, getting the monkey off his back, basically. He's going to have the Widow Mines probably burrowed first to deal with any potential Oracle, which he now sees. And then he can, well, he could pick them up if they had a medevac. Did he just go right into that tech lab? I think he might have. So, yeah, the Widow... Oh, no, they did that. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, so then you pick it up once you know the Oracle is not going to try and enter in. ShoWTime's been pretty good about looking for the Widow Mines. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So he's not going to just lose it like that.
Yep, even hits a little revelation, so can track the medevac a little bit more easily as it goes out across the other side. And the Phoenix is going to be straight on it, so yep, this just ain't going to go anywhere at all. Widow Mines will begin to unload, and the Phoenix kind of does have to start moving, though. For a moment, that looked kind of scary. We'll refresh the revelation, and Maru will head home, so ShoWTimE will just say, no, you do not get to be aggressive early on this time.
Not right now, anyways. I absolutely see Maru the type to repair the medevac up, take a very long path around the map, and then show up at 6:30 randomly and kill a bunch of pros. Which you'll do once maybe the revelation wears off. We have a third next coming down from ShoWTimE. And is he getting all 4 gases? I believe that is the 4th gas. Yeah, 3rd and 4th gas coming on the way.
Yeah, getting those dropped down onto the natural expansion, get this build up a little bit, and get that tech ready to roll out as the Hellion just wants to go pick up information, but that's what these Phoenix will do a great job of here in general, denying that info on the map, keeping the map control very much so in ShoWTimE's favor. As Maru obviously just getting that 3rd CC online, his engineering bay is up, the extra barracks ready to go. All of that will be active very soon as the medevac here going to get chased again. These Widow Mine drops just not getting a chance to get through. ShoWTimE's map control this far has been great.
Yeah, that's really quite good. If it still were to live, which I don't think it will. I don't know. If the medevac were to live with the Widow Mines again, I think he'd just try it 30 seconds later. But the fact that ShoWTimE now denies this twice, and it seems like finally fully. Oh, it is the Phoenix doing it though. I really liked it before I lost to Phoenix, actually.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's one of those things where like a Widow Mine drop often dies anyway, but to then lose a Phoenix when it didn't feel like you had to lose one, right? It's just that little bit more expensive, and you want those Phoenix to be in good numbers, especially as he's going to go charge, right? Because he wants to really be able to overwhelm the skies, have some lift potential against some heavier units, and then let the Zealots do a lot of the rest of the work.
So, yeah, Maru's actually a bit in the dark as to what this is going to be followed up with. Obviously knows that it's Phoenix, but Phoenix Colossus, Phoenix Charge, there's going to be Storm coming out somewhere. That much has not been gained since his opening scout didn't go across the map, and then his Widow Mine scout didn't go across the map. Oh, the Request goes on too.
Man.
That really sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks. It feels like it's not 1 step forward, 2 steps back exactly. It just feels like this could have been ideal. This could have been the perfect game, and I just barely not able to have the perfect game. But anyways, so what does... Yeah, Maru actually see. He's not going to see that. ShoWTimE. Did he see the 3rd CC? Which is kind of my question. He recently did, right? Yeah, he kind of flew over it. So I just wonder when that exactly happened. Basically, they both acknowledge it's going to go into a later stage of the game. Was there the fear of another 2-base SCV pull? Well, definitely not if you see a 3rd CC. Although, Ryung used to do a lot of 3rd CC, fake 3rd CCs, but... Yeah, anyways.
3CC, don't build any SCVs at all. Put a couple on the 3rd base just to really fake them out, and then boom, you go and pull the SCVs anyway.
Yes, exactly.
For Protoss players. I have no sympathy though.
Really? No sympathy?
Of course not. The amount of times they've done dumb stuff to me. Are you kidding me?
I guess that's fair. I'm becoming more sympathetic as I play the race more often. Ugh.
Yeah, well.
Getting contaminated.
You're seeing the wrong side of it, CG. Clearly means you're not playing dirty enough.
I'm gonna have a moment like 6 months from now where I'm like, am I the baddie? Anyways.
Wait. You mean I've been the devil all along? No way.
Yeah. 4th base on the way now for ShoWTimE as well, as he really is adding his collection of technology. Maru just finished up 1-1. Faster 4th seat. I thought there was going to be a little bit more about 3-base to 3-base. Nope, both of them going right into 4th.
Yep. They're really just happy to kind of macro on this map. We've got a Temple Archives down, providing some Archons as well. It goes on the way, though. Archons alone shouldn't be super scary. Obviously, as we get the Colossus count up, then we can start thinking about moving into Disruptors, and that's where ShoWTimE really will complete his super scary force. For the moment, Maru is going to hunt down an Observer, of course, is pretty nice. The Phoenix still being zoned out. You know, we only have 3 Phoenix on the map, CG. We lost a couple. We feel like he cut too early. Would you like to see more? We're pretty happy with him just going 5.
5?
Yeah, things okay?
Yeah.
Just get them tech going out as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have liked it more if we obviously didn't lose the couple, right? Because it just feels like now 3 Phoenix is so like, ugh, you know, like.
It's like, why even bother?
Yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, very much so a case of maybe the Phoenix count wasn't bad. It was the losing of the Phoenix, which hurts a bit more.
I think so. But, I mean, they still have a place, absolutely. Maybe not, I don't know about like a direct engagement, but hell, they actually were one of the reasons that break in the first game was so easy.
Yeah.
There was like almost exactly 3 lifts, I want to say, in that first game break.
That's true.
Now this break would be even more like surprising from ShoWTimE's side. Because that first game he had an undeniable lead, and then there's also more space. It's there was like some chokes because of some SimCity, but it was an more open area.
Yeah.
This one is pretty much the worst choke you can really get, plus any SimCity that does exist. And yeah, Maru did not have such a bad opener. So if ShoWTimE were to actually push and win with this, I mean, all kudos to him. But I think just delaying the 4th CC is much more reasonable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you can keep the 4th base from landing, then that's an advantage you create for yourself. Your own 5th is coming up during this, your extra tech's coming online, that disruptors we've talked about. He's going to rotate around the other way, you know, poke up, take down a couple mines, maybe a missile turret, maybe even some SCVs, but there's just no need to go firing on all cylinders into this base as 5 SCVs went down. I feel like a Widow Mine was not really very helpful in that, as there is a good one in EMP in Maru. I mean, ShoWTimE has to be careful. Maru could maybe get down the ramp and then surround from a couple angles. That's a possibility, so you've got to be a little bit cautious here. As Maru is on 2-2 as well, so his army is really going to trade well if he gets given the chance.
Yes. Again, Maru gets an EMP off first and foremost, and then has the upgrade advantage for fights. Yeah, that'd be very difficult for ShoWTimE to take a good one unless it was positioning. Okay. War Prism really want to get to that main base, but that is one hell of a defense. Plenty of missile turrets, a Widow Mine as well, and that is going to stop, unless he gets more than one War Prism. That's going to stop certainly one.
Yep.
Might want to use that for reinforcements.
Not many ways to really break that position. As you see, Widow Mine's going to be going off here. No, maybe not. Disruptors will actually get rid of the front one, so you will see ShoWTimE able to hit this base of it. SCV's in some trouble. Now the Widow Mines get to go off, and ShoWTimE keeps moving through. That might have been his mistake during all of this, as now Maru bounces back and is able to get some damage and some value out of the SCVs he lost out on. There's one Zealot. He pulled the SCVs to repair the turret. I was like, oh, that's cool. But the Zealot never got killed, so it maintains to be a problem. I mean, ShoWTimE just lost his Archons here as well. EMP'd again, and yeah, those Vikings are chipping through the Colossi as well. I feel like it's probably time for ShoWTimE to... It just feels like he's trying to do too much. The Zealot's been the best thing of everything. 9 kills.
His Zealot is kind of a boss.
You 2 double dropped to kill 1 Zealot.
Yes, yes. But I'm with you. I feel like anytime that ShoWTimE moved forward, got EMP'd, and didn't have disruptor shots, that was when Maru could have just like snapped back at him. But now he's coming in full force, plenty of disruptor shots being shot out. A couple of them getting good shots, but even a misclick on one that was reinforcing. And then you do still have to worry about the leftovers from Maru with still superior upgrades. +2 attack finish for ShoWTimE kind of during that fight, but +2 armor still working its way forward. So ShoWTimE looks like he really thinks he has an opening. Wants to grab that 3rd CC, the mass repair. Barely going to be able to save that one as the disruptors once again go face first into those tanks. Only 2 of them will live to back away. ShoWTimE, he did do a lot of SCV damage, but he also lost a decent amount of expensive units himself.
Yeah, no, he really did. As ShoWTimE gonna get some extra units around his left side. Couple of extra Zealots warping in, and he still wants to go for this. I mean, it feels like this is just, it's still expensive. Like, don't get me wrong, you're getting value, you're getting SCVs, but you're losing units in the process. I guess with the base count that he has, it's pretty nice, and disruptor shots like that definitely help as well. As Maru keeps being pinned back over here. Tank's gonna be unsieging and relocating a little bit, but yeah, at some point, yeah, that's the issue, right? The income graph. Just what ShoWTimE has done behind this. Maru never being able to break out means eventually he has run into trouble, and once again, this base is lifted, mining will be affected, and ShoWTimE keeps on pushing through, and again, just trades out units for a little bit more economy, knowing, and believing at least, that he can get a rebuild going very comfortably for himself, and Maru cannot.
And now it does feel like a matter of time because ShoWTimE has been able to reinforce so quickly while saving at least, you know, always a handful of those expensive robo units. It feels like it is just going to pick away until Maru is actually dead. He's not been able to consistently match ShoWTimE's supply, although defensively his engagements have been bringing ShoWTimE a little bit closer to him. And I guess maybe ShoWTimE isn't going to be so confident that he actually win the game, but he might have continued just like ramming Zealots into Maru's base, right? Now he's going to try and take a slightly different approach, but you do appreciate, but nonetheless, once again, coming in here. Upgrade for Maru finishes right now, but is that going to be enough? The Zealots are starting to get a little sparse. Archons as well, and once again, ShoWTimE denied from actually getting the victory off of that fight, but the reinforcements, the economy that he has comes in. Maru thought he could chase. He was wrong about that. Forced to pick up and leave.
It's just the economy, you just rebuild every time. And we'll say this time we really have been reset on numbers, though, in terms of disruptors. Only 2 on the map, and I believe they have to come across from the other side still, if not just arriving now. There they are. these are the things that hurt the most. I mean, we've got a lot of Zealots here, but against a lot of Ghosts and stuff, I mean, if those Zealots just can't really chew through, ShoWTimE's army can disappear very quickly. He's working with less army supply right now as well, so Maru, yeah, I mean, if Maru can just break out one time and get a base up, does he undo a lot of ShoWTimE's work? Well, maybe not all of it. He's got a ton of bases, but it definitely feels like ShoWTimE might struggle to have enough army to hold on to a lot of his bases.
Right, that's kind of the concern right now, is that if Maru does take a really good defensive fight, so again, he's been taking pretty good ones, he's been able to bridge the gap of supply often, then he does actually get to pounce on the rest of the army. Then you have a bit of a snowball effect as Maru goes, okay, finally, my time to shine. But as long as he always has barely enough to basically be the bully, be on Maru's side of the map, then Maru isn't really gaining anything elsewhere. He is just defending, which eventually will not be enough as he loses out on minerals in the main and natural. No chance to get a 5th base up. Just hoping for a very, very good fight as his 3-3 finishes up. But ShoWTimE actually, well, this Chrona's going into it right behind him, choosing again a different angle of attack, hoping to find the planetary a little less than defended. That's actually a harder case to crack, so maybe going to try this one again.
Yep, ShoWTimE just wants to come up this ramp as we do run up here. The Zealots take EMPs to the face straight away. Some of the disruptors do end up reaching, but the tank shots are deadly. ShoWTimE's army supply plummets right now as Vikings are chasing as well, and a few bio units on top of the disruptors. The tech is getting reset, and Maru is gonna lose. Maru's gonna kill a whole bunch of stuff. ShoWTimE losing a whole bunch of stuff, and this is the breakout. Suddenly it's a double army supply lead. ShoWTimE has a ton of minerals, but not much gas, and a lot of his army is DTs that are counterattacking. Okay, don't get me wrong, they're probably going to do a lot, right? But come on, I mean, your actual fighting army right now is a problem, and no! No. Shadow Strike's like seconds away.
Yeah, that was so awkward, actually. I mean, they might still be able to come in later and do a lot of damage, but this was the opening that Maru was waiting for. ShoWTimE having to give up at least one base to actually muster up an actual army, which even that would still be in a question. Is it an effective army that he has been able to get? It looks like he is going to go for a bit of a base trade in general. Zealots spilling forth into Maru's 3rd base. DTs onto the 4th, as well as an orbital as well. Maru, he got one important base. He's getting a less important base to the top left. But ShoWTimE still has some mining done. He is significantly down in supply, however, and Maru is actually just not going to return home. He deals with it and then continues his push, I guess, across the map, although that push is quickly becoming just an issue. The tank's left alone. Widow Mines gonna maybe scare the Zealots away for now. Can Maru pick up at all?
I mean, it doesn't seem like he wants to. ShoWTimE's army sucks, by the way. It's 40 Zealots. 40 Zealots! He's warping in more because he's just got minerals. He doesn't have gas to do much else. 44 Zealots on the map. Yeah, in some scenarios they can overrun, but there's a lot of scenarios where those Zealots are going to melt. A couple good Widow Mine shots. Not that Maru necessarily has a lot of Widow Mines. I'm kind of doubting the tank production right now as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, he doesn't necessarily know exactly what ShoWTimE's building either. It's realistic to think ShoWTimE has a huge tech army behind this.
Yeah, exactly. And this, well, I guess composition we'll talk about in a hot second. Zealots do come on top of the defending army back at home prior to the planetary actually being done. But even though the Zealots might eventually take care of the army right as we're watching, it took them forever to do so. That was one of the least ideal fights for a Zealot possible, and only a handful get to run away, severely injured. Disruptors coming in and just dying as well. The supplies get up a little bit, but ShoWTimE's army, it's still not very much better, right? Some Stalkers joining on the fray, but mostly Zealots again. No robo units, no storms coming in either, anything like that. It is kind of just numbers that he's hoping to overwhelm Maru with, which might work out in one of the more better scenarios, right? Better than that choke on that 5th right there.
Yeah, here we go with these Zealot Stalkers. I mean, there are 4 Disruptors up now somewhere. Looks like they're chilling on the picture-in-picture at the moment, so they would kind of want to come in at some point. These libs have been an issue as well, though. Just a couple of them have put in so much work already. Zealots that couldn't fight back, Stalkers that couldn't finish them off. ShoWTimE's going to go back along to the left, trying to deny that 3rd. We've seen fights up throughout this entire game. I mean, he's probably going to get that orbital for sure. SCVs will try and buy a bit of extra time just for free damage on the Zealots. We can replace that orbital instantly, though, right? So
Pretty much.
It's a shame to lose it, but not end of the world.
No, he could do it with the main base. He could do it with the 4th wall, I guess, orbital, either one. And actually, he just added an extra one. So well, that's going to die. Okay, but he still has the other ones that I just mentioned. Yeah, tanks are going to blast away on the Disruptors, not take any injury themselves. And ShoWTimE is going to have to be okay with just that damage as, yeah, extra command center number 4 floats on over. But at least ShoWTimE was able to stop the bleeding, I would say, right? That got really scary when Maru was pushing pushing across the map when he was forcing ShoWTimE just to expand his bank as quickly as possible, perhaps on not the best units, but things have calmed down, and ShoWTimE still has a lot of bases to work with, still plenty of probes to send over once those bases are up, and now he's also, I think, recovering his army a little bit more. This seems a bit questionable to actually leave the army here, maybe realizing or not realizing that the army of Maru was the size it was. Disruptors can only buy so much time. ShoWTimE once again trying to consolidate his army. We see some movement on the mini-map as the rest of the army is like, yes, no, maybe so. Decides to go into the third base instead, so it's going to be a base for a base. I don't know if the orb was going to die this time, and actually, there's plenty of reinforcements there for Maru, so no, not a base for a base.
No, minor liftoff for a base, which obviously just does not equate. Even ShoWTimE losing a few more probes. Maru's army supply still looking terrifying. I do like that ShoWTimE is adding in some more tech. The Colossi coming back online as well. Prism coming out. These are things which I definitely think he needs. It's going to improve his army in a big way as Maru does eat a little bit of a disruptor shot there. Got a bit of a split away at the end. The problem is building the Colossi was nice when you had the disruptors, but we've seen a couple disruptors die again, and so that tech keeps getting reset, and that's just a constant issue for ShoWTimE all game long. He's lost 17 disruptors in this game.
Yeah, closing in on 200 zealots, by the way. Maybe we'll check back to see if they actually gets broken. But yes, the disruptor is super important. A lot of them really not having any value whatsoever. I think like tossed to the middle of the map and found out. But things as they do, again, calm down maybe a little bit. Colossus is going to be a little more dependable than those disruptors in some situations. Like this high ground with the shield battery should be quite good at defending. And then ShoWTimE actually has second army ready to pounce. And I think he's going to have to go position over here. That's not a big enough Protoss army as Maru realized he could just charge forward. Not enough disruptors to scare him back. Good control from ShoWTimE to actually, I guess, mitigate that fight, take an okay one instead of just a completely terrible one. But the rest of the army did not find any success on the left side. Now just coming back home to make sure this doesn't spiral out of control.
The thing is, as Maru takes down these bottom right bases, he gains himself potential bases in the bottom right as well. Bases he's not really had access to before now. And okay, ShoWTime's going to, rotate around to expanding in the top left. But these are just things which you got to keep in mind as well. Here comes the Prism to drop some units on top, try and just take down these tanks, which have been here with a stalwart defense throughout this game. Big Zealot Warbin on the ramp of Maru's natural as well. Going to catch some of the reinforcing tanks also. And obviously Maru was all the way to the right-hand side with the majority of his army, and still a lot of his army off to that right side. Although Vikings get to hammer away on the Colossi, how can ShoWTimE just not win any of these fights? The army supply of Maru now going to have tanks to reinforce as well. These Zealots got to back away. We've got Colossus that are taking shots from I have no idea where, but boy, are they lucky to be alive.
Dude, so many of ShoWTime's Zealots were all over the place.
Yeah.
The Colossus weren't getting fantastic shots with the setup. The Zealots, like 15 of them, were off to the left with 10 just trying to kill one single tank. It was just an awkward fight. So even though Maru was a little late to being present for it, and that caused awkwardness to begin with, ShoWTime's actual attacking was literally all over the place. Everything was shooting in different directions. And now Maru has chosen, I think, to consolidate a little bit more on that right side, maybe chasing after the army as it goes up its main ramp. This will actually create a lot of problems if it successfully gets to the main. That's where all the production is. That's where Terran hurts the most. Can ShoWTimE actually get up there? Archons might be able to hold the line. They do get EMP'd by looks of things. They're getting awfully low, but the Colossus still alive. Warp Prism still alive, but reinforcements accidentally going through all of that tank fire, and the amount of Protoss units is dwindling. Perhaps a recall might be the best option. It's exactly what he does. ShoWTimE gets out of there with whatever the heck that he can. Did not end up breaching that main base and causing more issues for Maru, as Maru still holds on to a very good supply lead.
That was one of those moments. Maru actually had one ghost, so he just didn't have the EMPs to hit all the Archons, so he couldn't weaken that army coming in, and so ShoWTimE actually gets to commit through and be okay there. Well, we have got ourselves a continued game on our hands. Maru's army supply is still good, his economy not so hot, but he is getting bases up and online. He is taking that bottom right corner, and of course ShoWTimE still has to find some value at some point if Maru ends up mining out his side of the map.
Oh, wow, okay, the Warp Prism tried to go back in with that Colossus. By the way, I meant army supply, of course. Maru almost doubling the army supply.
Yes.
I wanted to bring that up not just to correct myself earlier, but also to point out that that army is actually a lot of tanks. So that was what made stopping ShoWTimE as weird as it was to begin with, because tanks had to run over and siege up. But now it is just a lot of tanks helping out. Then that could be a good and a bad thing, right? If the tanks are alone, then the mass zealots that ShoWTime's been working with can do well. If they're actually with the army, well, then obviously they're going to provide some amazing defensive benefits benefit. They're actually not even here for this fight, and still goes very well for Maru. Has the planetary up. ShoWTimE's going to be a little sad about that. He's basically lost control of the bottom right. It is now up and running, and even though he does have DT Blink, he doesn't have that bank from, 10 minutes ago where you can just go ahead and get 8, 9, whatever of them. He's got to pick and choose.
I think ShoWTimE mined out some of this bottom right. It's one thing to consider as well at a stage of the game like this, right? That he's taking some resources away from where Maru is expanding to. So that might help him out as we reach the ultra late game here. It's going to be seeing Ghost Bio coming up the left-hand side. The army of ShoWTimE back through the center, being chased away. Disruptor will ward this army of Maru off. Again, it's just Disruptors dying here and there, and he just never feels to have that many. He's got 9 DTs right now. He obviously wants to deny some of these extra bases, and we've just not seen that in a long time from him. Yeah,
he actually hasn't been able to use them quite yet. I think they are heading over right now. At the same time, tries to stop the army from killing yet another base, but really can't stop it at all. Forced to retreat from there, so again, at least gonna be able to grab this one. DT's Blink on top of it. It's going to be a kill. No! Just barely! Yes!
Just
okay. That was awfully sketch indeed. Oh, another planetary went down as well, actually. So this will be 2 bases for 2 by the looks of things, as once again, it gets very hectic. ShoWTimE still down 20 army supply, and now that 91 probe lead is like, well, how many bases, how many minerals do you actually have? Is that actually working for you? He's going to have to be taking better fights than some of the previous ones. He's looking for them, but so many tanks actually pre-siege, not the entire knowledge of where the army is either. He's not being able to get a revelation, no observers on the field too. It's going to be hard to know that he can take a fight.
Absolutely. Maru just replaces him with whatever bases he can find. He needs that mining. He has basically nothing right now, so he really, really needs to have this. So, yeah, he needs that base. Do you see Disruptor shots here going to connect pretty decently? A fight like this might be all ShoWTimE needs. The tanks are going down. ShoWTimE maybe doesn't swarm right now, but that's a big reset for Maru, who can't rebuild, where ShoWTimE can keep spamming Zealots. And here we go, extra Zealots coming in right now. We kite away as Maru wants to get out of there, keep these Zealots ineffective. The Stalkers blink in. Are they going to be okay, though? Because the Bioforce can come back through. Maru just keeps winning fights, man. He is now up 40 army supply yet again. Going to deny a base, maybe even to a ShoWTimE with his bottom right coming online. I believe there's still DTs down there, though, that could maybe jump on that mineral line, cause some chaos. Yeah, I mean, they need to do that, shut down this mine, and Maru only has 30 SCVs, 15 of them were here, 9 of them now dead, and that is going to be really limited reinforcements from Maru. And I mean, these DTs, though, even going down, are expensive as well. ShoWTimE, yeah, 90 pros, but not being given a lot of space to mine with. I imagine a lot of those are AFK oversaturating bases in the top left.
Yeah, of course, the mineral gathering is significantly different between the two. That is much as obvious, but it's the way they've been trading out on armies that still makes it a bit questionable. If ShoWTimE were guaranteed reinforcement time, then I don't think he really worries, but that is one of the worrying things about this matchup. If you take a particularly bad fight, then Maru does steamroll over a few bases, suddenly taking even better fights against those emergency Zealot warp-ins, a repeat of 10, 12 minutes ago, actually. So that's still an issue, even though it looks like ShoWTimE has finally managed to maybe, I guess, start the beginning of the end. He's still down 20 army supply, still could be totally surrounded. Now, however, he has an opening into the main base, knowing that Maru probably is coming over to defend that, of course, but that could be a target for later. And actually getting both of his Nexus back up, too, at this point is a good sign for ShoWTimE fans.
Yep. You know, one of the issues here for Maru as well is if he wants to camp out this base, he can't defend his main easily, right? So you've got to ping pong so much. And that's painful. And as these bases come online from ShoWTimE, his income is going to skyrocket with 90 probes as well. He's just been doing so much long distance mining. There's definitely going to be an issue as well. I mean, Maru is not on an army supply lead any longer. It does feel, I mean, we're even getting Storm right now, which I'm not even necessarily convinced about. Like, I'm not sure how to analyze that one. Interesting choice. Does he feel like maybe he's going to end up with like a lot of gas left over?
Yeah, okay, that is a really good point. There might be that, the best way to actually balance out that mineral income discrepancy. But then I'm also thinking, I mean, there have certainly been points in this game. 28-minute Storm seems weird, but in those 28 minutes, how many battles have just barely been lost by him, where the ghosts are out of EMPs or dead, or, you know, frankly, even Maru sometimes doesn't pay attention, and he runs face first into a Storm. Like, that is the break that ShoWTimE might need for one of these upcoming fights that he was lacking earlier on.
Absolutely. As Storm is going to be finishing here. We've got our army of ShoWTimE heading down to the bottom right, looking to break through these tanks. No support for them, really. There's the EMPs, but look at that Disruptor and Colossus count. That's something we just haven't seen for a long time, if at all in this game, right? Just a comfortable Disruptor count as SCV's getting massacred. This base goes down, and Maru just falls further and further back when it comes to being able to produce units.
Yeah, we do have a cheeky... Wouldn't mind killing a decent amount of probes, but yeah, Maru is really... I mean, it might even be him giving up on the economy. He might just be like, yeah, I guess that might be it, so hopefully I can win a really good engagement. He does still have orbitals to spread around, but orbitals can only last so long. We do have a couple of feedbacks and a storm. Couple of storms actually helping out, and the rest of the Protoss army is coming in, well, actually very awkwardly. Those tanks, there's a depth to them. They're actually kind of cleverly placed as well, so that will be tough to break. But I think as long as ShoWTimE can, again, put the brakes on this and keep the base maybe not alive, but alive for as long as possible, he will eventually rebuild. So it's about picking units off. I don't know about a direct engagement. The tanks, like I said, really well positioned, but it is a bit of a surround by ShoWTimE, so that might be enough. The left side, however, just simply melts. ShoWTimE loses the left side army, most of the right side, and Maru is now at, again, double the army supply. This is the steamroll. Can ShoWTimE stop it from getting to more important bases?
ShoWTimE needs Zealots on the right. If he has some Zealots on the right, eat up the tank shots a little bit. He ate the tank shots with Disruptors and Colossi, all the good stuff, and they just died. And I feel like it's my fault. I complimented the Disruptor count. It's like, no, that's not allowed to happen here. Well, yeah, I realize that now. Hara obviously wants this base. Any mining you can stop is going to be pretty critical. ShoWTimE's top left base is the one that's been left alone throughout this, and if he can't, I guess if that base is left alive, it's got to be mining out soonish.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Disruptors looking for something.
Yes, they are. Not going to get very much, though. And in fact, might sacrifice themselves for it. That one got something okay, at the very least. But yeah, so Maru was able to take down 2 bases right there, and that put ShoWTimE in a bit of a scary position. He does manage to clap back for a second, kills another orbital from Maru, but then loses the Colossus, only able to get out of there with the Stalkers. So ShoWTimE, I mean, literally he is running out of minerals to have that backup plan. With the Nexus, with the full healthy mineral line now completely gone, that was an important base, and they lost even another one. Still, a lot of question marks about the game, and Maru is once again looking to deny the top left. Stalkers take down a tank, but then give a couple of their lives for it. Disruptors hoping for, again, a little bit of a surprise attack from the side. Don't really get that much of a surprise, get killed, and the Storms are the only thing stopping Maru from just simply carrying on forward immediately. But it will happen. He is going to reposition the tanks, start bombarding this important base as well.
Yeah, there is a storm available here. Maru's very aware of it, dodges backward as the High Templar kind of out of energy. Okay, there's a lot more High Templar there, but he denies the base, he denies this mining. Probes going down too, so even the long distance mine is becoming an issue. As we do see those High Templar trying to get forward. Of course, so many EMPs available. DTs were checking out the bottom right, but not enough to take down what I believe is a planetary down there at this point in the game. So yeah, that looks as though that's going to be unable to be harassed for the moment. New Disruptors coming up from ShoWTimE. Again, that mineral income, if you look at the income graph, it's really evening out right now as well for the first time in forever. So Maru is actually getting into a very decent spot regarding that, as this observer gives him perfect info. ShoWTimE at least to maybe make some moves. Wouldn't mind in the picture in pictures like every probe counts.
I guess so, as long as it's mining going on. I mean, speaking of that long distance mining, I'm starting to get some deja vu. ShoWTimE on his last life in a series has one of the most epic battles ever. Managed to take down 2 tanks right there. But, I mean, is he also feeling deja vu? Is he feeling like this might slip through his fingers once again? It's still very possible with the way that Maru has been taking engagements. And so every little bit might just end up mattering. We're not mined out yet on this map, but with the way these two keep collaborating each other, really desperately fighting over the bases, we just might.
Oh yeah, we absolutely just might. As that Bioforce stems forward, a couple of Disruptor shots come through, Marauders go down. Oh god, Disruptor's actually going to hit pretty big this time. Can we at least punish them? We do get 2 more tanks. I mean, finally, I feel like we're actually kind of happy with what the Disruptors do, and they don't all die. Quite a lot survive, and that's one of the big things that's just not happened throughout engagements in this game.
Exactly, exactly. They've always been traded out, and very ineffectively for ShoWTimE as well. And again, even the Storms adding little bits of damage. Maru, not nearly as much of as the cudgel as he was earlier on, where it seemed like if he did take a fight, it inevitably led to 1 or 2 bases going down. Now, it seems like he has been locked out of this base. The amount of disruptors able to fire, just High Templars constantly coming forth when he thinks he's EMP'd the last one. ShoWTimE. Well, I said I said like 7 minutes ago was beginning of the end, or starting the beginning of the end.
But then he had some really bad fights again. And
Yeah,
Maru kind of stayed in it. I think now Maru's army supply is finally not there. I think it's the disruptors actually got to survive more than a fight. But it's just made all of the difference. We're going to try and dive in. But even some of the storms, because sometimes he's been trying to dive the disruptors and the storms did zone him out from doing that. The tank's just not going to be enough here. There's not going to be enough support, and we are going to be seeing another game in this series of ShoWTimE. Cruises forward, finally in this game. It feels like it ends where it all began with this push on that location. ShoWTimE, boy, did he have to work for it, and it didn't feel like it should have ever been that epic of a game with how much he was getting done early.
Right. The very start of that game, I suppose, but really like the first 10 minutes of that game. It felt like it was ShoWTimE who had everything going for him. He had the control over the initiations at the very least, even though he might not have been actually winning the engagements. Technically, he had the economy to back that up so he could continue being on the front lines. And then he had so many options technology-wise. He was opening up that path to DT Blink, and he was opening up the path to more Disruptors and Colossus. And then he just kept on having worse and worse fights. Things got really out of control with some kind of pseudo base trades. ShoWTimE did lose his position from the first 10 minutes. But the grit of both of these players really showing through there, because as much as we talked about ShoWTimE, because he was on his last life, because it was really up to him to make something happen there, of course we have to give respect to Maru. This guy just will not die in a situation where every other Terran probably would have.
Absolutely. All right, we've got a couple maps left in this series. Obviously, Maru needs one, ShoWTimE needs two. Moondance is going to be up next. That is going to be map number 6. And we do know that these two can definitely play long games on Moondance as well. Whether they're in the mood for that after Day to See, we will find out. DTs, this was actually crazy, right? I mean, if that base stays alive right there, who knows what difference it would have made. And it was very close to, but I think obviously the double kill is extremely effective because he really stopped Maru's economy just when Maru might have had enough to really just go and kill him if he had that little extra. Yeah,
actually, I'm glad that they chose this to highlight, because it might have been what stopped Maru from truly recovering, from truly bringing that game back and actually closing out the series, because it was the double kill that happened rather swiftly. The DTs took a little while, but the army came in and just bulldozed through that one, right? So the double whammy at that time was really important. If it was a single whammy, only the army picked up the orbital, or the planetary, and the DTs didn't. I mean, even that really changes how the rest of the game plays out. But here we are into map 6, Moondance. In the top left for Onside Gaming, he is Maru.
In the bottom right, getting that victory in the end, our yellow Protoss player, ShoWTimE.
So not actually letting that one slip through his fingers. It was getting really down to the wire, though. But as you had pointed out, once the Disruptors started living, and then the cheaper units could kind of fill out the army, it looked so much better. It really felt like that was one of the main differences between a good fight and a bad fight. Although I do also want to say that that one fight with the Colossus on the right, I feel like it really could have been as easy as adding in Zealots there, and that might have actually done the game in favor of ShoWTimE. What was it, like 7 minutes earlier than it actually ended?
Absolutely. Man, what a game. See what happens on Moondance. I always feel like you come out of a long game like that, you've got to completely reset to the early game, the build orders, making sure you don't just kind of die to something you don't quite spot or so. We'll see if that is a problem for either of them, as Moondance obviously has that in-base. We know that that extends the game a little bit, right? And even though it's a short map, it doesn't get too much shorter because you can expand backwards rather than towards each other, so something else to keep in mind. Obviously, it's still pretty short just to begin with, but yeah, it doesn't get ridiculous as you go kind of towards each other on 3 bases.
Yeah, exactly. Again, kudos to the map makers of this season. I think there's a lot of clever things that initially look like it's going to be bad for X or Y, but actually has some caveats to it. So on Moondance, it's actually the shortest map in the map pool, but also one of the shortest maps we've had in a very long time. Not quite beating out, whatchamacallit? Waterfall? There we go. Got it eventually. But anyways, yeah, as you said, you can expand kind of backwards. It doesn't push you towards your opponent, limits the, shorten the space between the attack. It also has plenty of bases So where some other maps can really get small base-wise very quickly, Moondance actually plays out quite extended, as these two have displayed. Actually, this was the super, super long game where the nukes were coming down, the carriers were fighting, all that good stuff, and ShoWTimE was able to come out on top.
Adept tickets here pushes that Reaper back as we do deflect that initially into that Stargate, into Adept number 2, and Wolfgate will start behind all of this as well. Maru just hitting that tech lab nice and quickly as well. We'll see what he wants to do. This is a map with a lot of people against Stargate. Again, that Viking, that Cyclone, that Marine Force that can combo together, and if not dealt with properly, can just end games. So, you know, we'll see if Maru does go directly towards Marine, Cyclone, Viking. We'll see if he wants to push with it, and we'll see what ShoWTimE can do about it. If that does end up being the case, as the Reaper gets the confirmation it's a Stargate, we start an Oracle, so that is revealed to the Reaper. And looks as though we're going to keep that in production here as well, so not to fake out or anything into like a cancel into Phoenix or so, right? Which sometimes could be interesting. We're actually going to go Medivac, so we really are going to go pushing.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Medivac on the way. Oh yeah, well it goes into Widowmine, right? Well, it's not Widowmine, it's Cyclone on the way. Short map. Slightly different way of pushing too. I mean, there's some different compositions that can come with the push here from the Terran. There's certainly a potential. You must know that it is going to be, you know, scouted, unless he's really open the Cyclone, kills the Oracle right off the bat, and then they can do the push. The second Oracle's even on the way, actually.
Yeah, now a Siege Tank as well, so let's see. This Oracle's going to make its way in here in a second, but we are just going to be having Marines lift up. A nice little revelation to track that. Cyclone will not be able to kill an Oracle, just shave off some shields. Nothing too terrible there.
And Maru's just going to give up. I mean, it's awkward if it's under the sight of the Protoss at all times, but gotta do what you gotta do. And then it's more about maybe trying to push this Oracle away from the actual scouts, which ends up working out perfectly, but he doesn't scan fast enough, so the lock-on was indeed broken by the, it's not even tall grass, it's lights, but whatever. So, yeah, exactly. 2 Oracles now out, with the third one being chronoed. He sees the kind of push coming in through the middle. No shield battery in that natural seems a little bit greedy to me. That might be something that actually kills ShoWTimE.
Yeah.
As there's a tank on the way, a couple of SCVs for repair. This can quickly snowball. Maru is going to go for it. The pylon could get targeted down. The shield battery itself.
He has another pylon on the back, I guess.
He does, yes. He is trying to.
He's in the mineral line.
But he's already in the mineral line, exactly. The shield battery is now under pressure as well. And ShoWTimE, as I said, he might really regret not having that done and ready to go from the get-go, but it is finally finished. Could shield battery overcharge? When is the time to go? A depth shade right on top of those Marines would help a lot, and it would be just before those bunkers are done. The tank would be a little less effective as well, and this could still be a very good break indeed, as even Maru realized, okay, that's way too many Adepts. I'm going to go ahead and get the heck out of here and just try and trade out as much as possible, which he does grab one of the Oracles, but not much else on the Adept side. Now some of the weak ones going down as he actually reinitiates. Vikings land as well, and things are not being cleaned up. Not yet anyways.
Not yet, and the Oracles are going to come back in, but lower energy, we're going to target down one. The tank will end up going down here, but this is hugely expensive for ShoWTimE. Of course, he's going to lose another Oracle. Whew. Yeah, he cleans up Maru's army, but he was also the player to lose a lot of workers during this. 3 Oracles, that's a lot of his tech reset, and look how late that Twilight is.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, I do think that ShoWTimE was prepared for something like that in terms of what he was doing with his Stargate production, and he did warp in a decent amount of Adepts, which can be very good there, as we saw, but it felt like he really was just missing a shield battery, and that would have been the perfect setup to engage a little bit sooner as well, and that may have also been just a much easier break. Less Oracles get killed, maybe even less Oracles have to be built in the first place. But as you said, one of the direct problems from that is how late the rest of the technology goes, and certainly the technology that matters more the longer PvT goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to go straight into charge now, and well, it's not like we have Phoenix or anything, so drop play is going to be extremely annoying. That Raven isn't going to get shut down very easily at all. These are all problems that ShoWTimE is likely going to have to deal with at some stage. You know, just bring it back, you mentioned no battery in the natural. I was still convinced there was, because I saw a battery built, and he had a battery just in his main. I was like, wow, I mean, I get there was a Marine drop coming your way, but
yes,
I really felt like the real threat was going to be on the front. It always is, because the follow-up can only hit the front. Not everything can hit the main.
Yeah,
so I was so surprised that when we got to that natural, I was like, oh, no battery? That really initiated all of this success.
You know what's really weird is that it might have worked out really well if the drop wasn't scouted. Well, it wouldn't have worked out well because the shield battery wouldn't have been, but what I'm trying to imagine is if he actually did Marine drop in the main, and then the rest of the army came through the natural, and then the army in the natural probably doesn't need a shield battery.
Yeah.
Right? Like, then it is kind of an easy cleanup. So that's the weird effect that might have happened there. But then again, if he hadn't scouted at all, Marines could have done tremendous damage in the main base. As it is, we've been past that point. Third base was up and running during all of that, although not mining a whole lot, so we did go into triple pro production pretty quickly. Maru did take, a little bit of an economic hit with his high ground command center. Then that push also delaying some of his technology. Stim combat shield's only halfway done. So it's still a very interesting game. Just felt like it could have been cleaner on ShoWTimE side.
Well, 1-1 upgrades. Corona boosting away. ShoWTimE will get that up and running. 1-1 from Maru. Stim combat, all the upgrades coming in. Nice little spot from Maru. Seen the pylon there and is just going to try and get a little bit of damage dealt as ShoWTimE setting up just, well, vision all around. That's one thing he's going to absolutely have in his favor. And as well, Cam's been looking pretty comfortable for a while here as well. So if Maru doesn't find much damage, then yeah, the income is absolutely going to be starting to look pretty good for him.
Yeah, indeed. Oh boy, as we get to 4 bases. Does Maru have a quick 4th base? I don't think he does.
No, he's just got the 3rd that's just come online recently. Now currently on 7 racks as well already, which is, I was kind of surprised to see how quickly that happened.
Yeah, 5 tech labs too. That's a lot of Marauders.
Yeah, very Marauder heavy. I'm actually trying to build a Phoenix here, I guess, just to push the medevac out the corner as well. So yeah, ShoWTimE is dealing with this. No blink because, well, we kind of never got it because we didn't charge first because Twilight was late.
Yeah, he also, I don't know if he actually saw this army move out. So his army is in position, but I think it would have wanted to try and tag the army a little bit prior to it actually being sieged up. Is that problem? Shield battery overcharge is still good to go, but is there actually anything to be done with the Colossus interference matrix yet again? No. There's a second one. And this is looking bad for ShoWTimE as the tanks are still sieged up, the Woodman's are still alive, and still plenty of bio left over.
I really thought he would have targeted down the super battery a little bit sooner, but doesn't really seem to have mattered here. Battery's now out of energy, super battery is gone, Oracle dying, and this Colossus doesn't really have many legs left to stand on. It's going to go down as well. This base will be broken, and Maru hits with this army that wasn't seen, and all of a sudden he's up quadruple the army supply, enough for the victory.